Hi, I'm going to do the third video on Pope Pius XII. I still talking about two books that were written by David Kurzer, A Pope at War, and another book by John Cornwell, The Pope's Hitler, criticizing the Pope for not doing enough for the Jewish Holocaust survivors in Auschwitz. They were being executed, and that's truly not the true facts. The reason why they were criticizing Pope Pius XII for his silence, and I know for a fact that they were working behind the scenes against a couple of really bad people. Adolf Hitler was not into Nazism, Mussolini into fascism. Both killed Jews, 6 million Jews in Germany. They exterminated. Mussolini killed 7,000 Italian Jews in Italy. And these were truly bad men that Pope Pius XII had to deal with. So getting back to what David Kurzer is saying, that Pope Pius XII was a moral failure and not a hero. David Kurzer book story is completely different from Giovanni Pirofino, an Italian official who testified on video that Pope Pius saved hundreds of Jews. Giovanni Pirofino has a video on how Pope Pius and himself were involved in saving Jews. It's a 24-minute video on saving Jews on behalf of Pius XII. Before I get started on David Kurzner's visit to the Vatican archives, we are going to revisit Giovanni Pirofino's testimony on Pope Pius. I ended up writing more about David Kurzer. He's saying that Prince Philip von Hessen was not the only witness to the secret meetings between Pope Pius XII in 1939, secret negotiations with Hitler to improve the situation of the Catholic Church in Nazi Germany. Pope Pius XII never talked to Hitler himself. Raphael Trovellini, the talks were often arranged through an intermediary named Raphael Trovellini, a friend of Prince Uberto, the Italian crown prince who was deeply enmeshed in the Vatican social network. Documents indicate that while the meetings were strictly confidential, they were not entirely unknown to high-ranking Vatican officials. Visits by German Foreign Minister Joachim von Ribbentrop, suggesting that Pope Pius XII collaborators were aware of the operation. What operations? David Kurzner, there are 12 volumes on Pope Pius XII. Utilized newly opened Vatican archives to uncover transcripts of their meetings, which show cordial exchanges between Nazi missionary and the Pope. In summary, Prince Philip was the key German negotiator for Hitler. These are the secret meetings that David Kirshner is talking about. David Kirshner, key witness, Prince Philip von Hessen, a member of the Nazi Party, was imprisoned twice during and after World War II. Prince Philip von Hessen was arrested on Hitler's orders, stripped of his rank, sent to Flossenburg concentration camp in Bavaria. Arrested in 1943, confinement until April 1945. After his release from Nazi prison, following Prince Philip was immediately arrested by the American forces in Italy, held in various detention centers, including Camp Aschien and Luxembourg, and underwent denazification, resulting in a 2-year labor camp sentence for being an offender category 2, though the considered served his wife, Princess Moldala of Savoy, was arrested by the Gestapo in 1943 and died in Buchenwald concentration camp in 1944. From my understanding, if we do the research on the Princess Moldala of Savoy, she was pretty much tortured because Hitler didn't like her because she totally ignored the invasion of Italy. She was not very happy about that. So she did get arrested and she did die in that camp in 1944. She was tortured. Now the true story behind Pope Pius to save Jews from Hitler, Giovanni Piervano provided crucial eyewitness testimony about Pope Pius XII. Direct involvement in saving the Jews. Hitler and Mussolini exerted significant pressure on the Pope Pius XII, using a mix of charm, political maneuvering to secure Vatican neutrality and cooperation, influencing his famously cautious stance during World War II. With new archive revealing secret channels and ongoing interactions, while Mussolini needed the Pope for legitimacy, Hitler used indirect pressure to prevent the Vatican from openly criticizing the Nazi regime, fearing repercussions for German Catholics and the church property. There was a large German Catholic population in Germany during the papacy of Pope Pius XII, 1939 to 1958. I would say in 1980s, 40% of German population was Roman Catholic, around 20 million. Hitler imprisoned German Catholics. The Nazi regime under Adolf Hitler heavily persecuted the Roman Catholic Church in Germany, resulting in the imprisonment of thousands of clergy, religious orders, and lay leaders in concentration camps. Documents from the Vatican archives, particularly in December 1942 letter, confirmed that Pope Pius XII was informed by a German Jesuit about Nazi atrocities, including the imprisoned priest in Dachau prison camp and mass killing. Pope Pius XII worked to protect German priests and Catholics throughout the war. Hitler and Nazi Party began persecuting and discriminating against Jews in 1933. Immediately upon taking power, mass killings of Jewish people began in 1941. Pope Pius XII began receiving reports of mass killings of Jews. In 1942, reports of Nazi atrocities and extermination of Jews were pouring into the Vatican. This was no secret meeting. It was no secret. The whole world knew about what Hitler and Mussolini were doing. Mussolini was also a fascist, and he killed over 7,000 million Italian Jews. Hitler killed 6,000 Jews. So this was no secret, as David Kurther is trying to say. The secret meetings was actually no secret. The whole world knew about it. And what did Pope Pius do during the Holocaust? His role during the Nazi period was being closely scrutinized and criticized. Supporters argue that Pope Pius XII employed diplomacy to aid the victims of Nazis during the war, and through directing his church to provide discreet aid to Jews and others, saved hundreds of thousands of lives. In 1942 Christmas address, Pope Pius XII delivered a 26-page speech discussing human rights and condemning the killing of innocent people. Some saw it as a reference to the Holocaust. Pope Pius XII's role was scrutinized and criticized by people like David Kirshner and John Cornwell. Also wrote a book, A Pope in the War, and St. Pius, Mussolini, and Hitler. John Cornwell also wrote a book called Hitler's Pope, Pius XII, also criticizing and scrutinizing the Pope. These people, I would say, were bought by somebody, paid them to criticize and scrutinize the Pope, Paul II, because their stories versus Giuliani Pierpano's story that worked with the Pope clearly states that he was helping the Jews to, the Jewish refugees to go to a different certain place and to make sure that they were safe. But we're going to get into that here in a minute. I call to Pope Pius. I call the Pope Pius XII a saint because Pope Francis later venerized him. He was venerable, and that automatically makes him a saint. When he passes away, his name will be Saint Pope Pius XII. And also a saint was Pope Pius XI. Because these two criticized and scrutinized the Pope did not tell the truth about the reports that they found in the Vatican archives. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start another video.